We're in Emporia, Kansas for Unbound Gravel, and look, Unbound wouldn't be Unbound without terrible inclement weather. And that's exactly what we've got at the Granada Theater. There's a lot of rain, a lot of mud on the forecast. We're gonna go visit some pros, figure out exactly what their bike checks are, what they're gonna do if there is a lot of mud or if there isn't, and learn all about them. Let's go. Alexey, it's warm, sunny, beautiful, dry, not at all dirty out there. But somehow your NB Mog got a whole bunch of dirt on it, right? And you're smiling. Okay, can you run us through the bike really quick?
Yeah, so what we have here is a pretty standard stock Mog. I think I've just stuffed it as full as it can be. This, to me, is a somewhat dry race day.
Yeah.
We were out here, we were out there today kind of testing out how much I can push through before we get stuck, which we made it through everything. But we got a full 2x Shimano GRX drivetrain, 1134 in the front. MacGyvered the front a little bit to have a 5234 in the front. Otherwise, MV's one-piece bar. It's a 38 by 105 Silico wax chain, orange seal.
Yeah.
Fun tires. It's this is a setup I've run. We'll talk through it, like you said, but this is a setup I've run at Big Sugar and Sea Otter.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty much a go-to setup.
NV3 four wheels as well.
Yeah, still very undecided. Pretty much have these on because I had 2 sets of these and I wanted the bikes to feel very similar when I was testing.
Yeah, and you have a total of how many bikes here?
There's 4 NV Mogs here. 1 is not mine. 2 are race bikes, and the other one is a bike we're auctioning off. But it's been pretty crazy driving around having 4 NV Mogs in the back of a car.
One of them has suspension, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
for the first time. And we are not going to talk about the way it's routed.
Okay, we don't need to talk about the way it's routed. However, I think we could definitely talk about what makes you decide between the suspension or not running suspension for a race like this.
Yeah, for sure. To me, if it started raining, if today was Friday and we were doing this video, I'd be on the suspension bike, no question, on 40s.
Okay.
To me, the suspension takes out that little bit of nervousness running a 40 tire to get the full clearance I want with mud, the peanut butter mud we can get out here in Kansas. So I've been playing around with it. I really don't like it on that far end of the course. It's just so fast.
Yeah.
Like today on this bike setup, I think I averaged like 19 or 20 miles an hour by myself. So you imagine throwing that fork on and coming to sprint down Main Street, it's not the same.
Yeah, especially because something like that might have a remote lockout or something like that, right?
It's just all the little things, another level of things to think about in a race that is all about focus, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, very good. We have the Pro Stealth saddle up here, standard one, right?
Yep.
You talked about MacGyvering the 52 tooth chainring. What does MacGyvering entail?
I more just wanted to say that because I don't think many people should do it, especially if you are trying to make your bike super light and you're running a Dura-Ace front derailleur. The GRX front derailleur is made for that 17 tooth drop. It's made for a 48-31, but I've played games and kind of made it work. It's not pretty always shifting up, but it gives me the high and low end that I want.
Do you mention those a GRX front derailleur or is that a Dura-Ace one? Okay, cool. So there's no funny spacers or anything. You're just YOLOing it and hoping it works. And
it shifts 99% of the time. It's just you got to be careful of the 1%.
Oh man, yeah, especially if there's a sprint coming up or something like that, huh?
I'll just be in the big ring.
There you go, big ring justice. Okay, really quick, you have down tube storage. Are you using any of that race day?
Yes. Avery and I are testing out me having a thigh collar so he can track me.
Oh.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I like that.
AirTags don't work.
Cell
Thigh collars.
Yeah, thigh collar. I like that. No tools, no extra stuff in there.
No, there will be. I think I'll run if I were to have full catastrophe. So, for example, like I'll have a tube in there, I'll have extra CO2s in there, multi-tool to take wheels off, and a tire lever probably. Beyond that, in my pockets, I'll have all the plugs I need, at least one 25-gram CO2, and maybe a different set of plugs. But all the quick maneuver fixes would be in my pockets. Anything that's like, okay, I need 30 to 45 seconds would be in the down tube storage.
Yeah, okay. Once again, if the course were as beautiful and as clean as a bike like this is, you're going to end up on rigid, non-suspension. Otherwise, 40 mil tires, suspension.
Most likely,
yeah.
I think this bike too could get pared down a little bit. I'm trying to figure out. This is that new tire that Kenda just launched called the Crusher. I've debated running it 50-50 up front and rear. I've liked the Rush because it rolls pretty much just as fast. Again, it comes down to the sprint. It does not roll as fast in a sprint, but it's again a game of focus, and over 200 miles, it's easy to lose focus in a corner and have something stupid happen. This gives me a little bit of love, so it's just finding that line of how much I want to trust myself. Yeah, and with you, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to a sprint. Thanks so much. We'll see. Yeah. Thanks, Alvin. I'm with
Keegan Swenson.
Thank you, Keegan Swenson. Santa Cruz Stigmata, you've been riding this bike for a while at this point. New colorway. I want to first talk about the big red thing on the front.
Yeah.
Fork. How'd you end up deciding to run the fork?
Yeah, still kind of on the fence about it, see what the weather does. I would love to run the fork. I used it last year, really liked it. And I've just been training on it a bunch, and it's comfortable, I think it's fast, and there's not a whole lot of elevation gain, so the weight penalty is kind of not a big deal out here. Yeah, I'm a fan of it, but like you can see, there's not as much clearance as we'd have with the fork, so as the rigid fork, so kind of on the fence still.
Yeah. So in what instance would you decide to go rigid?
If it was really muddy, I would
Okay.
run the rigid just because we have so much. This bike is geo-corrected, so the geometry doesn't change with the fork. It stays exactly the same, which is sweet. And then when you put the rigid fork on, it has a ton of room around the tire. So just more room for mud and stuff to go through.
NV handlebar right here, is this the?
Yeah, I got the NV Aero bar. It's a 37 top, 42 bottom.
Yeah.
So you can have a little more stability down there, a little more, you know, for sprinting, whatnot, and then still kind of small and aero up top.
Yeah, we've got the Zip Service Course SL. It's a carbon stem, I believe.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
A-okay.
110 minus 17.
And no top cap either.
On the bearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I sized up to a medium just recently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I was on the small, and I was trying to do some fit things, and I decided I really like the fit of this and the feel of it.
What was the difference in what you were feeling?
I wanted the bike to be a little bit longer, but I wasn't quite sure I wanted to ride the 130 on the small, so I ended up riding the 110 on here is about exactly where I wanted to be, and the 110 lets the bike just handles a little bit better and a little better control, and the weight's not, you know, so far over the front. So.
Do you think you'll put a top cap on if it's too muddy out there?
No, on the old Stig, I ran no top cap, and yeah, it's not really a problem. Just a headset. I
Yeah,
mean, if it
it's
gets a little
just a
crunchy,
headset.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
know?
there you go. Hammerhead Karoo 3rd generation right here.
Yep.
In this nice light blue. Take it apart, that's pretty cool, and
Yeah,
clean
yeah,
it.
you can
we were
match the
talking
bike.
about. Yeah, you can match the bike. That's pretty sweet. We have the NV seat post right here, and then Pro Logo saddle.
Yeah, it's the Pro Logo Nago R4, I guess it is. Just like it.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a while. In the middle of the bike, the Stigmata has a down tube storage hatch.
Yeah, the hatch, I just store like tubes, extra plugs, extra CO2s, like things that you like don't really plan on needing.
Yeah.
You normally keep 2 tubes in there, 2 CO2, you know, extra plugs, maybe like a chain tool, stuff that you might use, but you might not. And I keep the plugs like easy access on the bike because it's not super quick to get into the box. You have to you pull your bottle off and you got to pull the thing out, unzip it, dig through what you want. So it's kind of like last,
Yeah.
you don't want to go in there, but it's better than the saddlebag.
Yeah.
The weight's down low, a little more aero, a little cleaner.
Yeah, it's the box of last resort,
Exactly.
I suppose. Yeah. Cool. King cage, titanium cages, I believe, right?
Yep, the rear one's a Silco right now, but you know, they're all King titanium cages.
Yeah.
They hold the bottles the best, I find.
There you go. Drivetrain. You got SRAM Red Explorer access on here.
Yeah, so you got the Red Explorer out back. Just the, your only option, the 1046, which I like. 13 speeds is nice, a little tighter gearing. There's not a whole lot of steep climbing out here, so you can still run a fairly big chainring up front. You get the gearing you want in the back and have a little bit tighter. I really like having that 11 tooth.
There you go. That's what
the
I was
biggest
gonna
thing for me.
add.
I really miss the 11 when I'm riding the transmission, mountain bike stuff. And it's a little bit quicker, it shifts faster.
Yeah.
Which I like as well.
It's been my experience too. What size chainring are you?
48 at the moment. I'll put a 50 on for the race though. Just for free riding on the 48, just because I don't want to push quite as hard and makes it a little easier. So so we'll have a 50 on for race day.
I'm seeing Keo pedals here, road pedals. Would you go 2-bolt if it was too muddy out there?
Yeah, I'd probably put on the X-Trax if it's muddy to be safe. The Keos actually, they clear mud all right, relatively speaking, but it's not a mountain bike pedal.
Yeah.
Mountain bike, you just can slam on the thing and it gets in there. A little more durable too. You don't have to worry about them cracking if you hit them really hard on a rock or just because things get hectic with the mud. So that's also kind of yet to be determined.
Yeah, no doubt. Crank length, everyone's gonna want to know. It's the blue one, which I believe,
blue one.
160. Yeah. How long have you been running 160 cranks?
A while now.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, been liking them.
Did you go shorter if you had the opportunity?
I don't think so. But I also didn't think I'd ever ride less than 170, and here we are. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't either, and I'm a lot shorter than you. But
it's slow. I mean, I've got really tight hips, and I'm not super flexible, so it's been kind of helpful for me to get in a more aero position and just keep the back and everything a little happier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. On the talk of the drivetrain, I'm noticing these bolts that are color coordinated throughout the bike, and that's not just you; that's the rest of the Hit Squad team. What's the story there?
Yeah, we're just working with better bolts this year. They just make nice, cool bolts, and the kind of the brassy bronze color we thought would look sick with the blue, and kind of tie everything together. They're all nice titanium bolts, lighten up the bike a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
just make it look good.
Last bit here, we'll do another video on tires and tire choice. I'm seeing Reserve 4044 gravel wheels here. Did you consider going shallower?
Yeah, I think these have kind of become my standard gravel race wheel. These 4044s, they're a bit wider internally, which is nice. They're 27 mil internal. I think they measure right around 30 something external. Yeah. So with the 45, you get a little bit of aero benefit, which is nice. I like to have a little extra stiffness as well. Yeah. But the 25s are a little bit more compliant. So maybe if I were to put the rigid fork on, maybe I would run the 25s, but I think I would stick with these. I just really like the way these wheels ride, and I think even the small aero gains are worth it. So.
Marginal gains are marginal, but they add up. Yeah. Amen. And you also mentioned to me earlier Silica wax chain. Right there, talking about marginal gains, and then 45 mil tires, Maxxis Reavers. We'll talk about more later because I have a lot of questions there. Thank you so much. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, so this is going to be take 2.
My name is Petr Vakoc, and this is my Canyon Grizzle for the Unbound.
The thing that immediately stands out to me is the 50 mil tires here, the Schwalbe G1
These are RX.
RX. Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a second video, but they look massive on this tire, on these wheels, especially with the Zip 03 SW wheels here. Talk about drivetrain.
The SRAM Red Explorer is the older version without the UDH, unfortunately, because it's a bit older frame and doesn't fit the new derailleur with the UDH. But yeah, there are not any really steep climbs, so I go with my usual setup of 48 tooth chainring and 44 in the back. 10 to 44, so I think for this race will be enough, and we'll do the job.
Have you considered ever running the Eagle like 10 to 50 or 52 with a bigger chainring?
No, I think like this chainring is big enough. I race 48 like all year round pretty much, but usually I race the Grail, so I have the 1046, and without any super steep climbs, I think it's unnecessary to go any bigger.
You mentioned the Grail. You have a Grail yourself as well?
Yeah, I have a Grail. I do all the races on the Grail, but this is like exception because I was really hesitating like the weeks leading up to Unbound. I had this one build like just in case, and like all the way until like leaving here I was watching the weather and like looking, okay, looks like it will be wet or not, because Unbound is such a specific race with the mud, with the sharp stones, so it's probably the only race of the year when it's worth going safer instead of faster. And so yeah, there was kind of like last moment decision, or literally until like I packed the bike on the way here on Saturday evening, because after some bad luck last year I would like to go really safe, because this is the same type of bike I had 2 years ago when I finished second, so I hope it brings me luck.
Handlebar right here, this is from the Grail.
So it has this new cockpit from the Grail, so that's pretty sweet. Internal cable routing, so there are some updates from the bike 2 years ago, so even like then I rode way like skinnier tires also, so but I was just I wanted to have this margin of safety.
We have the new Wahoo Element Bolt, the 3rd generation computer here. Canyon VSALS seat post.
It's the comfort seat post. Originally I also was not sure if I want to ride it, but then I thought it's really long race, you will be almost hopefully like less than 10 hours on the bike, but it was gonna be a long day, so I think having a bit of extra comfort really helped me in the final to be fresh.
And then we have the Posedla 3D printed saddle. Seeing 2 bottle cages here. Do you plan on running a 3rd?
No, 2 bottle cages and then hydration pack. Maybe 1 bottle in the back. We will see how warm it will be. Or
are you gonna do like a top tube bag?
No. I don't like to have anything extra on the bike. I just don't mind having pocket stuffed. So.
What about tubeless tire plug? To the frame, or you put it in your back pocket?
I have 2 of them in the handlebars. So they have the plugs inside, and so the eyes are like for like a bigger hole. They are quite like thick, and then I will tape some plugs here on the top, or maybe like from below here, just to have it at hand. I have 2 types of plugs, like those samurais who are in the handlebars. They are really for like a bigger hole, but if it's like a small hole, you cannot really like push it into the tire. So then I use the Dyna plug, and if I see it's just like a small leak, but I'm not sure if the sealant will plug it, then I just like quickly put the plug in, and I can be riding in a couple of seconds again.
Seeing the Time ATAC pedals here, well used, 172.5 cranks.
I've been running it for maybe 10 years, 8 years maybe. I've been running before 175, then switched many years ago to 172. I was thinking about it because you keep hearing it, I keep seeing it, but actually my are very, very long, and if you take like the formula for the percentage of the length of your bone, actually I'm right between 170, 172 and a half. It's like already this like
look
short.
At you.
It's like I have a short body and very, very long legs, so maybe I will give it a try in a couple of months to 170, but I don't really see myself doing 165. It wouldn't make sense for me.
Excited to see you on this bike. Hopefully you're able to do what you were able to do 2 years ago. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Hannah, this is one of my favorite paint schemes, I think, of any bike I've seen this year. And I'm not saying it, I just really like purple.
I love purple. It's my favorite color.
Good. good, cool. This is Scott Addict Gravel
Yes.
RC.
Yeah, this is my Scott Gravel Addict RC. I'm running it with a full Shimano setup. So I have Shimano Di2 GRX shifters, and then I have a Dura Ace chainring. I'll be running the 2x for this weekend. I have the DT Swiss 1100 die cut wheels and a 30mm rim. I'll be tracking it with a Coro Stura and a 4Eyes power meter. I've got Kenda Crusher tires.
Yeah.
The width TBD, depending on this crazy weather.
We'll definitely have to talk more about that in another video though. Yeah.
And then I've got the Synchros integrated bar and stem with some ESI bar tape.
Yeah, sweet. Full rundown. I appreciate that. I do have a few questions. First thing, 2x drivetrain. You look at the rest of the groups out there, everyone else, are leaning towards 1x. How'd you end up on 2x? Did you think about 1x at all?
I did. I actually went back and forth. I did a lot of testing back and forth, and ultimately I decided on the 2x for this course in particular because it is a relatively flatter course, and so I want the smaller jumps in between all the gears because I think saving my legs by maintaining the most optimal cadence throughout the whole race could ultimately pay off if we get another sprint finish or another close race, which I'm sure it'll be.
Last year, and that big gear could definitely help, especially with the small jumps up there.
Exactly.
As far as the wheels are concerned, GRC 1100 gravel wheels, they come in 2 depths, right?
Yep.
So they have the 30 and the 50, I believe.
Right.
Did you try the 50 out? Did you have an opinion there? Or?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a really tough call for this course. I do think you can go either way. I think for me, the 30 is kind of the safe bet, right? Like it's light, it's fast, you still have the aero, but if it were to get really windy out there, I don't have to worry about the deeper rims quite as much. I'm not carrying quite as much weight. For me, it's just the best of all worlds.
We mentioned 9-Up Sprint last year. You're right in the thick of things at the very end. New bike this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you made any other big changes compared to the year prior?
I am on a shorter crank this year. Yeah, I've changed from 170 to 165.
Okay.
Again, this change, I did it across all my bikes for this year. I think just having that shorter crank for me allows me to maintain a little bit higher cadence, save the legs a little bit more across these really long races, and hopefully pays off in those late race surges.
Yeah, sweet. Last bit right here, Synchros Crustin bar, did I get that right? Or it's the Synchros one-piece handlebar? Do you know the dimensions of this off the top of your head?
I don't.
It's okay if not. It was just, they look pretty darn good. I was just curious, like if you went narrower, if you had any opinions there.
I run them tilted in, as you can see, just to maintain a little bit more aero position, keep it narrow. But for me, a lot of the cockpit is centered around comfort because it is 200 miles. And even though you want to be aero, I focus the aero less on my position and more on the things that I'm not gonna feel as much, and I'm gonna get that free aero speed rather than having to put in the effort from my body to be aero.
That's definitely a trend this year, is that I'm hearing people are raising their bars up and that type of thing to get that lower effort. Last question is how you're carrying stuff. Are you doing like a top tube bag? Are you stuffing everything in your pockets? What's going on there?
I'll be wearing a USWE pack, so I'll have extra fluids in that, and then everything's going in my pocket. I'm gonna keep my bike as light as possible. I'll carry it. I find for me, through some of the FKTs and things like that, I have done top tube bags, but to me, it's actually easier to get things out of my pocket than it is the top tube bag. So I'm going for that ease because eating is everything out there. And I find if there's even that inkling of like, oh my gosh, I have to reach for it again, that's less calories you're gonna take in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So does that mean that you're gonna be like taping tubeless tire plugs to your frame or anything like that?
I will have all of that in my pocket. So I'm gonna run cast shorts. So I'll have the side pockets on the bibs as well. And then I'll have the 3 pockets in the back. So I have tons of easy access.
Yeah, easy access is gonna be important. I think you're gonna crush it this year. Best of luck to you this year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's it, everyone. There is so much more that goes into setting up your bike for a race like Unbound and all the things that you have to consider, be it weather, racing, tactics, that type of thing. Let us know in the comments what you think about your favorite bike in the bike checks below. We'll see you on the next one.